Today we're making the most American drink with the most American whiskeys. Let's do it. Welcome to Average Joe's Whiskey. My name is Joe. In honor of Independence Day, today we're gonna make the most American drink using 4 of the most American whiskeys that I could think of. Now I'm gonna say the most American drink is the Old Fashioned. It's been around forever. Everybody pretty much seems to love it, and it showcases America's favorite spirit. Now I have to be honest, I'm not a big cocktail drinker. Generally speaking, I don't think whiskey needs any help to be delicious. But sometimes if I'm at an event and I need to pace myself, or if it's a hot July afternoon, it is nice to have a cold cocktail. I'll tell you what I like about an old fashioned. Ice will generally mute a lot of the flavors in bourbon. Most of the sweetness and the complexity you really can't taste when you drink bourbon on ice. An old fashioned takes those sweet and fruity flavors and puts it back into the drink, albeit artificially. But the old fashioned kind of amps up all the classic bourbon flavors so that you can taste them even when you're drinking it with ice. So I picked 4 whiskeys that we're gonna compare and see which one makes the best old fashioned. And in the process, you'll get to see how I make an old fashioned, which is a very simple way. I don't know if it's correct or not, but it's the way I do it, and I think it's fine. So you can use my way or you can not use my way. Whatever you wanna do is cool. But anyway, let's get to the whiskeys that we're gonna be using in our old fashions today. First up, the most American of the bunch, Michter's American Whiskey. I couldn't think of anything more American than Michter's Unblended American Whiskey. Michter's is a very old distillery, going all the way back to the 1750s. It did have to close its doors a couple of times, so it's not like it continuously operated the entire time. And it changed hands a bunch along the way. But anyway, Michter's really old distillery. They will tell you that this is what George Washington used to give his troops. I do not believe that's a true story, but who cares? Michter's Unblended American Whiskey, still a phenomenal American whiskey. Next up, Eagle Rare. What's more American than a bottle of whiskey with a bald eagle on it? Man, this bottle just screams America. I can't hear it. But Eagle Rare, another excellent, very American whiskey. Next up, Old Grandad 114. So I wanted to try an old fashioned with a high rye mash bill, and nothing is more American than Jim Beam, one of America's largest distilleries, with a picture of good old Grandad Basil Hayden himself on the bottle. This is a classic American whiskey, and I think it'll go really nice in an old fashioned. Last up, we have Old Forester 100 Proof Rye. I wanted to use at least one rye whiskey because rye is incredibly American. George Washington himself was famous for cranking out rye whiskey. And this Old Forester has a somewhat similar mash bill to the rye whiskey that George Washington used to produce. But these are the 4 whiskeys that I thought were the most American, at least the most American whiskeys I could come up with. Now let's see which one makes the best old fashioned. All right, I got all my ingredients out. We're gonna start with the Michter's American and the Eagle Rare, and then we're gonna do this bracket style. So we'll try the Michter's and the Eagle Rare, and then the winner will face the winner of the OGD 114 and the Old Forester Rye. So here is how I make an old fashioned. I start with brown sugar. Why do I use brown sugar? Everybody else uses white sugar. I like to be different. No, but seriously, I like to use brown sugar because brown sugar is a note that I get in a lot of bourbons. So I like to put stuff in my old fashions that I generally taste in a bourbon. Do about a half teaspoon of brown sugar. And then a couple dashes of bitters. And then we muddle. Now some people add water when they muddle their sugar. I try not to add any water. The ice is gonna melt and that's gonna water it down. So for me, it's just sugar, bitters, whiskey, and a cherry. So now we're gonna do 2 ounces of our Michter's unblended American. That's 1 ounce. Two ounces. Bam. We are killing this old fashioned, guys. Now, 1 maraschino cherry. I like to use the cheap ones from Safeway because we're not fancy. Here in America, I like to use the simplest, most accessible ingredients possible. If you want to add like a little spoonful of cherry juice, go for it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And now we top it off with a nice ice block. And that's it. We have our first old fashioned. Maybe stir it up a little, make sure all that sugar got nice and muddled. Damn. That really hit the spot. Happy birthday, America. All right, now for the Eagle Rare. I'm gonna fast forward through this now that you saw me make one already. All right, we got our Eagle Rare Old Fashioned. Looks pretty close to our Michter's American Old Fashioned. Let's try it. Ooh, I like the way this Eagle Rare smells. I'm not sure it's as good as the Michter's. You know what? I'm gonna have to say the Michter's is the winner. So Michter's moving on to the next round. I'm gonna put these in the fridge so they don't get too watery, and I'm gonna get 2 fresh glasses. All right, so we're back with OGD 114 and Old Forester Rye. Let's get to it. All right, we got our OGD Old Fashioned here. Let's give it a shot. Again, the nose is much more subtle. The Eagle Rare is really the only one that had much of a nose at all. You do get a little bit of that cinnamon, that classic cinnamon OGD nose, but it's very, very subtle through the ice. Not bad. Definitely packs a little bit more of a punch. All right, let's get to the Old Forester. Real quick, I just want to explain my line of thinking with the OGD and the Old Forester. I was thinking that with the Old Fashioned, you put in the sugar and the cherry, which are both kind of classic bourbon notes. So I wanted to try some whiskeys that didn't have those notes in them. Or not that didn't have those notes, but had more notes. Like I was hoping to get some cinnamon from the OGD 114. And since there's no cinnamon in an Old Fashioned, I thought that extra flavor might really shine through. And same using the rye. I thought we'd get some of those like minty herbal notes, which would kind of blend well with the sugar and the cherry. Make it almost like kind of like a burr rye, but it might be better to use, you know, whiskeys like that and just kind of go all in on those sugar and cherry notes. But we'll see, we'll see. All right, let's try this Old Forester in a slightly smaller glass. Ooh, I like the way this one smells. The rye is really coming through. That like minty ice cream note. Let's try it. Oh yeah. Let me try the OGD one more time. Yeah, nothing wrong with the old Grandad, but that Old Forester is definitely the winner. Which means the Old Forester gets to go against the Michter's American, so we can find out which old fashioned is best. Let me go get the other glass and I'll be right back. So which whiskey makes the best old fashioned? Let's do one more taste test. You know what? I gotta give this to the Old Forester 100 proof rye. Man, this old fashioned just has more flavors than the rest of them. A lot of these others, I feel like the sugar and the bitters and the cherry are kind of the highlight of the drink, whereas this Old Forester rye, the rye whiskey really cuts through the extra ingredients. Like, you can really taste rye in this drink. So the best American whiskey for the most American drink is Old Forester rye. Good job, Old Forester. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with all these old fashions. I can't drink 8 ounces of whiskey on a Wednesday night. Oh well. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this one at least. All right, guys, well, that's all I got. Hope you have a fun, safe 4th of July and 4th of July weekend. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and happy birthday, America. Have a good night.